One. What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage here, and I am interviewing Muddy. What is up, Muddy?
Hey, Dave. Good to see you. Great to see you at Sales Mastery. Thrilled to be here.
Yeah. So guys, this is not the first time I've had Muddy on a Mortgage Coach call, but it is the first time where I'm doing this one-on-one interview style. I'll tell you who Muddy is to me, and then Muddy, if you could be ready to tell who you are to the Mortgage Coach community. So I can't remember what event it was, but it was over 3 years ago that Muddy was at this event. Speakers were on stage, and he was sketching out the takeaways, taking the big ideas and turning them into pictures that, one, helped you remember the content and the takeaways, and two, they're just plain old cool. And then going from memory, I think I hired you, Muddy, to actually visualize a call I did with Darren Hardy about 3 or so years ago. Is that right?
That's right. And that first event was NAHREP, National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, and it was the Elevate Sales Summit, kind of the pre-event for that, where I first met you.
Yeah, that's right. And you sketched out Joe Patura, our president, was on stage, and you did a sketching of Joe's takeaways. And we were just like, I'm a visual guy, so I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then I referred you to Todd Duncan, and this was your third time at Sales Mastery, right?
That's right. Yep.
So third time, if you were at Sales Mastery and you saw this guy drawing pictures of takeaways, then I love the way Todd's integrated you in the event, where it's like, hey, Muddy, walk us through the takeaways. This is the guy, everybody. No, one of the reasons why I wanted to interview him, and I think we'll do more interviews like this, is that Muddy is an expert at turning complex ideas into simple ideas. And then he's an expert at taking those ideas and putting them on paper and communicating them in a way that's compelling and valuable. So if you're in the Mortgage Coach community, this will not be the last interview with Muddy. If you have questions, put them down below. So Muddy, that's who you are to me. And also you're just a cool dude. I like hanging out with you. But how would you describe yourself to everyone? And then let's get into an interview.
Right on. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I'm Muddy. I'm the founder of the Whiteboard Academy, and we're on a mission to help others unlock awesome through visual thinking. So you described it well. In one context, we're hired to attend events and conferences, and we set up a big whiteboard at the front of the room, and we're listening for those key ideas and insights and creating what I call a visual summary, creating these drawings of those key ideas. And so at the end of that presentation, this is a one-page takeaway of all those nuggets that are like the solid gold, right? So it helps engagement in the room. It helps the impact of the event, because these graphics, these visual summaries, are amazing tools for the leaders who are in the meetings to then go and share these ideas with their team and put them into action. So it's not uncommon that people will kind of put them up across their desk and as a reminder of what happened. So that's the way we help leaders work with leaders, and we also lead workshops and help people visualize their key ideas, because then you can take action on them.
Love that. So one of the questions I'm going to ask in a few minutes is just like, what was your biggest takeaway from Mastery? What were a few of your top sessions? And walk through some of your visualizations on that. But before that, I've got a question from Sid Savage, my daughter. She came to Sales Mastery with me. She met with you before the event, and she's like, I want to know, how does he do that? Like, he's got to have a special way that he's listening and thinking so that he could do it. And I know that it's probably like a one-day workshop. So I'm not expecting like this perfect answer, but if you could just give us a high level of overview, how you are doing something different in the way that you listen before you put it on paper, if you wouldn't mind just speaking to that.
Yeah, sure. And one of the questions I usually get is, how much information do you know beforehand? And I know the speaker's name and the title of the presentation, which is the same thing everyone else knows, because I get it from the agenda. So that's intentional. I don't want to know what they plan to say. I'm there to capture what they did say and what the message was, because in some cases, I'm writing what was said. In other cases, I'm writing what wasn't said, but really was kind of the undertone through it. So I'll give you the kind of 2-minute version of what's actually happening. And it's really a 3-part process. So I'm listening. What did they say? What does it mean? And what does that mean to you? So I'll break that down real quickly. I'm listening in the moment, and in the back of I'm kind of half listening. It's the equivalent of like skimming. If you were looking through an article, I'm listening. There's part of our brain that's always kind of listening in the background for, if someone yelled help or danger. There's like that part of the back of your mind that's always on alert. So I've trained that part of my mind to be listening, and I'm listening for meaning. So if a speaker says, the point of what I'm going to tell you is these 3 things, that's like, bing, stop and pay attention because they're about to deliver something that's good. Or if they said something that was like, the back of my mind is like, oh, that's good, I capture that. So I keep a little notepad right next to me, and I'm capturing those little nuggets as they come, because the second part of what I'm doing is I'm filtering for the meaning of what the overall structure is. So they're telling a story, or they're leading us through a process, and I want to understand what that framework is or what that structure is. And so it's something called framework learning. It's this idea of wanting some kind of structure to hang the ideas on. So that's the second part of what I'm doing, is I'm thinking about what's the structure of the conversation as a whole. And then the third thing I'm doing is what's a simple way to boil that down and show it in a visual way. So listening for what's happening, filtering for meaning, and then drawing it in a simple way that communicates that.
All right. I mean, that's a lot. It's hard to consume, but I love it. And I love it for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's going to give more appreciation when we look at some of these visualizations that you've done. And then 2, I think, as a mortgage professional, or let's just say as a professional, an advice professional, one thing we know for sure is that asking great questions and listening is probably the most important thing you can do. Because you can't give a deliverable like a total cost analysis, like, hey, here's your total cost analysis. If it's just what you want to give, and it's not personalized, it's not on point, it didn't come from asking great questions and learning what that family wants, it has, I don't want to say it has no value, but the value is vastly diluted. So to be a black belt at mortgage coach, you've got to listen at the highest possible level. And I have a feeling that we're going to do another interview where I'm actually just interviewing you to help a loan officer have a better sales conversation with a realtor or a loan officer. But I didn't come prepared for that. But after hearing you answer it, I can tell you I would really like to have another interview where we're helping salespeople be better salespeople, learning from you in greater details in that area. Are you cool with that?
Totally. Yeah.
And then, hey, one quick question that came up. Do you keep, like, you have your own you have the public note that's on the internet, and I know you're going to give people some samples of that, but do you keep your personal notes?
No, because those are interim and unstructured. Some of those don't make the board, but the board is way more important because it has that structure to it. And so I actually oftentimes have a little garbage can right next to me, and because I'm creating those fast and furious, and they're just transient.
So I would love to, when we do the next interview, where we really interview around the process and we see, like, hey, this is what came out of a meeting. And maybe I debrief on some meeting that you listened to, and we look at, hey, this is what came out as the formal post-event visual, and here is the listening that you did. I'd love to audit that and review that. I think we could learn from you if you would be willing to be that transparent. Okay. Yeah. So mortgage coach community, if you have more questions for Muddy, put them in comments below, because this will not be our last interview. So let's just get right to sales mastery. First of all, let's just go, maybe there was someone else that was in every session, and I'm sure there were people that went to every single session, but there were people that missed sessions. We're talking to a guy that didn't miss a single session, and we're also talking to a guy that was being paid to listen carefully and put what he learned on notes. So with that said, what was your biggest takeaway from the event? I think you've got a unique perspective.
Right on, and appreciate the setup, and I want to preface this with one tip, because as I was talking about my process, I realize it's a lot. So the tip for you guys as you're listening right now to this conversation and what I'm about to share of my big takeaways, and when you're in a meeting yourself, here's the best thing I can recommend is don't try and get it all. Just try and get that one or two things that really resonate with you. So as you're listening to a conversation and you're like, oh, that's good, that's the thing to write down, and let that be that key takeaway, because that helps you be present and listen. And so that's what I'm doing.
So before you go, I do want to connect this to what I think is one of the most important things a mortgage professional should always be trying to do with a realtor or borrower, is to teach them something they hadn't considered before they met with you, and to deliver this star moment, something that they'll always remember. And so you know, I have these black belt at Mortgage Coach questions that if you ask these questions, it uncovers opportunities to teach things. So guys, that's what you're trying to do. Ask questions, uncover things that they didn't know, so you can bring value. You can go, did you think of this? Did you think of that? So go ahead, buddy. I just wanted to insert that.
Boom.
Boom. Love that.
All right, so I'm going to pull one up as I talk about it. So it's really neat. If anyone was at Sales Mastery and you see these graphics, I'll pull one up on the screen while we're talking. The graphic will bring you right back to the moment, and you'll remember what happened. So what I'm showing right now is one of the keynotes. This was from Tim Sanders, and he was talking about making the leap to an essential partner. And I chose this one in particular, Mortgage Coach, and the total cost analysis came up time and time again throughout this event. Probably a third of the speakers or panelists or guests mentioned total cost analysis or Mortgage Coach as part of their process, a part of the way they've been successful, or they're growing and becoming successful. And Todd Duncan mentioned it several times as well. So one of the key themes as I think about and talk with folks in the industry about Mortgage Coach is it shifts your perspective into an advisor. And that's one of the things that came through in Tim's presentation as well. So he talked about really kind of three parts. The first part was about how we connect with people, and that relationships, he talked about amygdala, and emotional connection is 35 times more powerful than logic. What? Yeah, connecting with people on an emotional level, what they care about, listening from the heart, right? Listening for what they're really getting through, that will help you connect with them and be 35 times more powerful than the logic. So that was huge. That was a key takeaway from this piece. And he said empathy is a superpower. So the next thing he talked about is one of the key roles when you become this essential partner. So shifting, he shared this example from a woman who used to do taxes, but now she helps people manage financial risk. She does the same job, completely reframed, right? So it's this idea of solving the bigger problem that people are trying to meet. And so when you become that essential partner, so for you guys in the Mortgage Coach, mastermind group, becoming that advisor, one of those roles is connecting the dots and helping people see that higher picture, higher order problem solving, and fill those gaps. So that was the first part. And then the last part was becoming a sounding board and a fount of knowledge. So giving them the right information at the right time, not telling them everything they need to know. It's just those kind of laser focus, telling you the right thing when you need to know it, and being a sounding board to help listen for people. So that was one of the examples, and super practical to this community.
Yeah, no doubt. I've interviewed Tim in the past, and we are currently working each other's schedules to do another interview on him. And there's no doubt. I mean, during his presentation, there were multiple times where I wanted to like, Tim, can I come on stage and just, take what you just said and connect that to a total cost analysis. And Tim and I will be having that conversation in a few weeks, guys. So stay tuned. And I had, it's not something I didn't know, but it was just a great reminder that empathy is a superpower. And especially in today's world where, there's a technology revolution going on in the world. All the most valuable companies in the world now, not in America, in the world, are tech companies. And mobile tech has transformed what we're doing. And in the mortgage space, we've got disruptors. We talk about WACD, what Amazon can't do. And it is empathy. They cannot show up with the same level of care that you do. But it is important that you go from empathy to a digital connection. That you like show people I heard you and I love you. So here is a total cost analysis showing you how to achieve your goals and your dreams with real estate and mortgages. So it was just a takeaway. And I actually, I'm doing this black belt in mortgage coach right now. And I had the superpowers that drive mortgage coach, constructive tension, advice, transparency, and I added empathy because at the end of the day, you've got to do these tactical advice things. But if it's not all wrapped in extreme empathy, it's not going to work as well. Yep. So I love that, Muddy. So here's a couple of thoughts, guys. One, I'm going to do more interviews with Muddy. So if there is a specific session at Mastery that you would love Woody and I to get on and talk about, so you get Muddy's takeaways and you get my color, let us know down below. Muddy, anything else from Sales Mastery? And I know, it was a lot, but is there anything else you want to shine a light on before we get to some other questions?
Yeah, there's one more thing I want to shine a light on that actually came up in two parts, and it's completely relevant at this time of year for your audience, right? And for the mortgage coach community as they're thinking about how to be strategic and how to work on the business, not in the business. Deb Duncan gave a session, and then Todd and Deb, when they closed out the event, talked about two things, and I'll just pull out one or two elements of them that put them together. But the way that this is super relevant is that when you use visual thinking coupled with visioning and strategy, it becomes so much more powerful for your business. You can see connections and see opportunities in a way that you never did. And in fact, what you just talked about of using empathy and listening, but then delivering it in a technological way, I'm also modeling that because these are drawn with pen and paper, but I'm now sharing them on a digital platform in a digital way. So, right, it continues to emphasize and reinforce what you're talking about. But Deb led a session where she was talking about imagining the life of your dreams, imagining and picturing yourself in the future that you want, and how important it is to kind of step into that future as you to create it, right? So in order to create a more successful business, really taking the time to visualize what that looks like. And so you can begin to behave the way you would behave when you're more successful, and that success becomes inevitable and never giving up. And in conclusion, at the last session, when they were talking about 2020, your best year ever, they really boiled it down to what are those things that matter most. And Todd said, what matters most must matter most. Part of the theme of this event was fit, fast, and forward. And this idea at the end of the day, your life matters more than all of these other things. And so taking the time to be sure to build in how do you build a healthy life, build a good attitude, and build that fitness so that you can be at your best. Those also seem especially relevant as we're looking and planning for next year, thinking about this kind of 360-degree fitness, your business, your life, your family, all of those become important in the way that you show up in the world.
Wow. That is so good. I'm so glad that you shared that. So I have a takeaway that, I mean, just huge. I think you're gonna hold up the boom sign again in a minute. But before I do that, I do want to give a kudos. So if Todd Duncan, if you're watching this, brother, you killed it. I have been to 27 sales masteries. Now I did have the wow goggles because I was there with my 20-year-old daughter, mortgage coach, as you said, 30% of the people there talked about us from stage. And so, I mean, mortgage coach is just in a really good spot. I was there with my daughter. But Todd, you killed it. I mean, Todd is always super intentional with who he invites to stage, what he does from that stage. And it really does create a transformational experience. So Todd, you killed it. Anything you want to say to Todd Money before I give my big boom idea to everybody?
I am super grateful that Todd gives me the opportunity not only to capture these, but then to give these 2-minute recaps periodically through, because that really brings these ideas right back to the front of everyone's mind. It becomes super valuable. And Dave, you know that you have a special place because you're the hero who introduced me to Todd. So kudos to you.
I get my value from the value I create with other people. So trust me, dude, I am getting huge value that relationship is in place, and you're killing it, my friend. So real quick, before I do my last big idea, and don't leave, because guys, I'm telling you, this could be huge for you. How do people get in touch with you? If they wanted to hire you to, whether it's do like you did at Todd Duncan, visualize a keynote, whether they wanted to hire you for a corporate meeting to make sure that the goals and strategies are being done, or hey, if they wanted to forward you a recording of an event, of a Zoom call, and have you visualize that, how do they do that?
Yeah, right on. So we make it super easy. Whiteboard Academy is our website. I'm at Muddy at Whiteboard Academy. And right on our homepage, there's 2 things. One is set up a discovery call. So if you're not sure, but you want more awesome in your life, hey, let's get on a call and we'll brainstorm that together. If you want to hire us, or you want to work together in a 1-hour or 2-hour session on a Zoom call, or send us a 1 or 2 hour thing to visualize, there's a spot right on the top that says coaching, and you can kind of purchase that right then and there and get Muddy helping you unlock awesome.
Well, guys, I would caution you, don't waste your time figuring it out. Just hire Muddy to visualize something. And here is my big idea, the big boom, is I was listening to this, and I know that it's more important than ever for mortgage professionals to show up, what is your unique value? And to just say, I'm an advisor, I work hard, I have great rates, whatever your personal value prop is, it's never been more important that you're clear on that. It's never been more important that your clients are clear on that. It's never been more important that your team is clear on that. So I would push everybody in the mortgage coach community. First of all, Muddy, you should hire Muddy to help whatever your goals. I like that. Whatever your goals. By the way, Muddy, you need to talk so that they hear that. So talk.
Oh yeah.
And show that.
Okay. Right on. So as you're talking about, what makes you unique, this is you being unique.
Yeah. So I would seriously think about hiring Muddy, and and by the way, Muddy, how much is it for an hour? If someone sent you a recording, a Zoom call like this, and wanted you to create a visualization around that, how much would that be?
Well, the value is huge. The cost is only $135.
Okay. So for $135, you could record something and then have Muddy create a visualization around that. And it could be your value prop. I mean, I see a lot of loan officers creating videos this is my value prop. I see loan officers creating videos around, hey, I do this total cost analysis and this is what it looks like. And by the way, keep doing that, because you have to over communicate in multiple channels. You got to do videos, you got to do posts, you got to show pictures. It's a never ending battle to ingrain what you do and how you do it in a special and unique way. But why don't we add a visualization to the mix for Muddy? So mortgage coach community, I'm looking forward to some of you guys hiring Muddy to visualize your value prop. And I'm looking forward to seeing those, share it in our group. So if you do hire Muddy, share it in the mortgage coach group. And I'm looking forward to some of you guys that have annual meetings and you come up with goals and strategies as a team. I'm looking forward to seeing those in the mortgage coach community. So Muddy, let's wrap this. Any closing thoughts, any words of wisdom before we wrap it up on today's interview?
So I'll tell you the thing that helped me get where I am is giving up perfect in favor of awesome. Awesome, not perfect. So that's my last takeaway.
Love that, man. Well, hey, buddy, I always get energized talking to you. I love what you're all about, unleashing awesomeness. I'm looking forward to learning more from you in our future interviews. This is a wrap, brother. If you guys got value from this, give it a like. If you love it, share it with your mortgage friends and let us know what you want us to talk about next. Muddy, I can't wait till the next time, brother.
Boom. Thanks, Dave.
Take it easy, brother.